Welcome to Beat Everyone. I'm Ben Flanagan. Hey, so we have a game. Alabama's playing Wisconsin this weekend. Then it's a boring bye week before Georgia. So savor this because college football week without Alabama kind of stinks. Everybody knows that. But Beat Everyone producer Matt Scalici is with us again. And now we welcome our good friend and AL.com Alabama beat writer, Music City Matt Stahl. Welcome back, Matt. How are you?
Thank you. I appreciate getting a nickname finally.
Will that stick, you think? Do you like that? You like Music City Matt Stahl? Should we call you the
Nashville? It depends how many listeners of this podcast there are.
The Nashville Kid? What about the Nashville Kid? Or Mr. Should we call you Mr. Hot Chicken? What would be better? Like, what's
probably not that one. I've been called worse. So it's
Broadway Matt.
No, definitely not that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're from Nashville. That's what we're trying to establish here with the nickname. All right. Well, I think
the rare person who moved to Alabama after living in Nashville.
Right. What are you trying to say there, Matt? I don't understand.
It usually goes the other way.
I think we should begin with a controversial topic today. Yes, Alabama plays Wisconsin. We'll get into the nuts and bolts there, but they kick off at 11 a.m. Central Time this weekend inside Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. Matt, it's my opinion, and I don't believe in hot takes, that an 11 a.m. kick is the best possible time to kick off a college football game. Matt Stahl, I'll start with you. Tell me I'm right.
I don't know about that one. Now, if you're from a fan perspective, I think you're absolutely wrong. I don't think that's good at all. I think I'd rather have the night game if I'm going to be a fan in the stadium. Like the atmosphere just gets so much better the later in the day you get, I think. Now I can see where it might be better than that 2:30 kick where it's just super hot outside. But from a beat writer perspective, 11 a.m. it's still not great. I got to be at the stadium at 8 a.m. I'm not an early riser. That's not for me. I'd much rather have the night game where I'm just getting home at 3:30 in the morning. But yeah, I can't get behind this take here.
That sounds horrible, getting home at 3:30 in the morning. I mean, you go to an 11 o'clock game, and especially somebody who has worked games, many in the past, if it's 11 o'clock, I am an early riser, by the way. I know you're a young professional, Matt, but at some point you're going to have to become an early riser. But, I mean, you get the 11 o'clock game over with, you got the whole rest of your day back, and you get to watch the rest of the college football slate. The Alabama games in the past, your work is done. You don't feel that way?
That's true. I can get behind that. Although I get to watch all the early stuff if it's night kick. But the worst, I think undisputed worst is the CBS, the SEC on CBS kick time. I know that doesn't exist anymore, but that afternoon game, that kills your whole day.
Yeah, whole thing.
It does, although I would still rather have that than the 8 p.m. kickoff, which I think we've largely gotten rid of. But the few of those we had, absolute nightmare. I mean, the game itself is going to stretch on past midnight, most likely, with commercial breaks. It's awful. 11 a.m. I'm more fond of when we're later in the year. My concern, if you're going to this Bama-Wisconsin game, especially, I will say, by the way, if you're sitting on the western half of the stadium, you're going to get fried all game long. Wear your hat, wear sunscreen, take care of yourself at this game. Hydrate.
Mix of water in,
Yeah, they have sunscreen. They provide it in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and they have these big water monsters where you can go hydrate. So good on Bryant-Denny for helping folks out. But I agree with you, Matt. I think in 2014 there was a Florida game. I want to say it might have been at 11 o'clock. Either way, if it was 2:30, it was still super hot because it was relatively early in the season. So yeah, a September 11th, 11 a.m. game. You are asking to cook a little bit in the stands. I get that.
It's brutal, and I mean, look, we'll talk about it, but the 2:30 kick, you guys talk about how hot it is. That's about when this game will be wrapping up, and I'm checking the weather in Madison, Wisconsin right now. Okay, just to see what these boys from the opponents will be dealing with. Currently, the high today there is 74. Okay. these guys are going to be dealing with mid 90s on Saturday. I know it's early for us to be talking predictions, so I won't get into that yet. But I'll just say I believe that the Badgers are going to be uncomfortable.
Forget the players. It's us that have to deal with it. I mean, we're eating, hot dogs and pretzels and drinking mustard and like all this other stuff in 95-degree heat. It's our choice to do that, certainly. But yeah. All right. Well, Matt Scalici, what's the optimal kickoff time then if it's not 11 a.m.?
I am a 2:30 guy. Okay. I'm an old man now. I have a lawn to mow on Saturdays. I got stuff to do that I would like to knock out before the game. And it's look, I guess also that's just like that's tradition for me. Like I enjoy having that big afternoon kick spot. And then you can make, even if you go to the game, like you can make it home and catch the night games wrapping up by the time you're back at home.
Yeah, I guess so. In honor of Vernon Gary, I appreciate the answer there. I know that's who you're paying tribute to, but yeah, I've been excited. I've had this circled on the calendar all off season, the 11 a.m. kick against Wisconsin. So let's get into the game a little bit. Ryan Williams, big focus this season, and certainly this week he missed the Louisiana Monroe game. But Matt Stahl, you reported from the coaches' teleconference. Kalen DeBoer shared an update on the status of Alabama's wide receiver, Ryan Williams. DeBoer said, quote, "We expect him to play," end quote. Williams suffered the concussion at the end of the game against Florida State, towards the end of the game, I should say, against in the loss against Florida State in Tallahassee. Matt Stahl, why is this good news for Alabama?
Well, Ryan Williams is pretty good. I don't know if that's a hot take in these parts, but a pretty talented guy. So anytime you can have him on the field, I think it's better than not having him on the field. Now, I mean, they handled that pretty well against ULM, right? Like it's got plenty of people got some catches in that game. Jeremy Bernard showed out. Got Latier Brooks some valuable reps. But yeah, having the guy who's generally considered a top 5 wide receiver in the nation, it's a good thing. It might be a controversial take, but I think it is.
Yeah, like we strive for substance on this podcast, Matt Stahl, and we'd appreciate it if you brought it once in a while. Matt Scalici, our AL.com colleague Joe Goodman recently wrote a column that said Alabama is better without Ryan Williams. And,
of course.
We love Joe. He's truly one of one, right? But listen, Alabama fans have voiced some frustration about him, the statistical drop-off in the back half of 2024 and what many considered a pretty pedestrian performance in the openers before his concussion against Florida State. What do you think of Ryan Williams right now? What does he need to do this weekend to sort of – I don't need to know that he needs to prove anything because of the year that he had last year, and we all know how talented he is, but what's your Ryan Williams take right now?
I mean, I think he's facing a similar situation to what the rest of the team kind of went into last week with, which is – there were a lot of questions and disappointments with the week 1 performance from pretty much every area of the team. But in particular, I mean, I would say wide receiver was a group that was receiving more criticism than passes, perhaps. That's apologies for that impromptu pun there. But I mean, I think it was a group that was probably disappointing more than any other because we had heard so much hype and so much excitement about them all offseason. And they really didn't come through very well against Florida State. A lot of drops in that game. Didn't seem to be able to find a lot of room in the secondary against that Florida State defense. They didn't really give Ty Simpson a lot of options to work with. And I think Ryan Williams is the ringleader of that group, and he's the guy that you expect to be the big playmaker. And frankly, now that this is part of the equation and we put that on it, we all know Ryan Williams is making just south of $2 million this season, and I would say that comes with some pretty high expectations as far as your performance goes. So, look. Understandable that he got a brutal hit and missed last week, and hopefully he's back to 100%. But I think it goes back beyond just the Florida State game. I think that he faded a little bit from prominence late in the year, and I think people are ready to see Ryan Williams start to emerge as that elite playmaker that he's been billed as for this team.
Matt Stahl, do you think we see that? Like, do you think internally, like Ryan Williams understands, like, or thinks he has something to prove? Do you think that DeBoer and Grubb will make it a point to sort of like get him the ball when and where they can? They would anyway, because like you said, he's one of the best players in the country. That was established last year. But what do you expect, I guess, from Ryan Williams this game?
Yeah, I think you'd like to see him, and this I'm not talking about like any off the field stuff, but like on the field, just like maybe just a little more professional like about it. Like the criticisms of his route running, I think, are valid. Like like he'll sort of run towards space. He's not necessarily running like the crispest routes, and you would like to see that improve. There's other guys in the country who do that far better than him, so that's something you'd like to see. But yeah, like I would expect them to try and like get him involved early on, and also like this in theory should be a year where, especially after the game Jeremy Bernard had and sort of the threat that Isaiah Horton can be if he's fully healthy, which I don't think he has been the first 2 weeks. There should be like a little less defensive, just like keying in on Ryan. So I think that might also just help him out in this game a little bit as he tries to get back going from the concussion.
Yeah, you know, former Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron, he has been pretty public in his criticism of Alabama so far. And it depends on your perspective, like whether or not you think it's fair. He played at Alabama. He won national championships, so he knows what he's talking about. You know, there's a debate as to whether or not like former players should be publicly supportive and these criticisms should be handled behind the scenes. But he's on podcasts. You know, he has a platform, and he said, quote, "That's some of the worst route running I've ever seen in my life, ever." He was non-existent in this game, talking about the Florida State game. He plays way too high. He doesn't look any bigger. He doesn't look any stronger. He doesn't look any faster. He runs way too high for a slot receiver. He was getting gloved in this game. He needs to step up. All this hype and everything. Guess what? You're not getting drafted on 1 year of film. You're not Jeremiah Smith, brother. Jeremiah Smith could have come out last year and been drafted first pick overall. You're not at that level, so step up. Make plays and get open. You're jogging too many routes. Somebody needs to challenge him. Jeez, man. Brutal takedown by A.J. McCarron there. Matt Scalici, what are your thoughts on old A.J. sounding off?
That's the old positive AJ we all know and love. Look, he's never been a warm fuzzy guy. Okay, that goes way back for AJ. I think one of many people's biggest memories of AJ was getting in the face of his center in the middle of a national championship game that they were obviously going to win. He's an extremely competitive guy, and I think I appreciate that's sort of that a former player cares, and I think we see that from a lot of these Alabama guys. I mean, we saw a lot of them on social media last year when things weren't going well, expressing frustration about this team not meeting the standard. And, you know, I think everybody felt that way in week one as well. I think that, it will take internal motivation for this team to get back to that level of play. And while I understand everybody wanting to be critical and wanting to push these guys, I don't ultimately think that external motivation is going to be the thing that does it. That usually isn't the key for these teams. But we have seen signs that there are guys on this team that seem to be stepping up and becoming more vocal and becoming leaders on this team. And you guys have written about it at AL.com. You know, that there was that one moment that we saw on the sidelines last week before the game with Kalen DeBoer. I think there sometimes a situation like that Florida State loss leads to certain guys saying, okay, I'll be the guy that steps up and starts saying something instead of just doing my job and my job alone. So you know, this game will be, I think, a big part of the process of seeing who within the roster is going to be taking leadership on this team.
Yeah, that's what Chris Lowe talked about on the last episode of this show, right? Like one big strength of Nick Saban's rosters is that the quote unquote alphas on the roster would take care of this. They would step up and they would take that leadership role and challenge themselves and challenge each other. See if they can rise to the occasion. It seems like Tim Keenan III talking to Kalen DeBoer before kickoff last week was sort of that guy in that moment. And I know that people are eager to see him back on the field. So Alabama are more than 20-point favorites against Wisconsin at home. They dominated them in Madison last year, 42-10. The only game they have looked good during on the road in the Kalen DeBoer era. Matt Scalici, Alabama, they were heavily favored to beat Florida State, too. Nobody but Mike Norvell and the Seminoles expected what we saw in Tallahassee. Wisconsin's 2-0. They beat up on Miami of Ohio, 17-0. They blew out Middle Tennessee, 42-10. They're undefeated. Luke Fickell has them playing right now. So, I wonder, do you think that they could pose any threat to Alabama? Like, do you expect Alabama, or I guess, do you expect the Alabama who got stunned by Florida State, the Alabama who whipped Louisiana Monroe 73-0, or something in between?
Well, I would say at this point, and most people seem to feel this way, I think this team does not get benefit of the doubt at the moment until they sort of prove otherwise. And I don't know that it certainly could have gone worse last week, but I don't think necessarily they're going to get any credit. They could have beaten Louisiana Monroe 100-0, and I don't think it would have changed anybody's feelings about this team. If you're looking for reasons why this game might be different than Florida State, I think for one, obviously the team is aware that the Florida State game was a debacle. And I think it certainly has shocked them and has sort of changed the way that they're looking at themselves in this season and the way they're approaching everything. The other part of this is Florida State might have put together a roster that can legitimately make them a playoff contender. I don't know that many people feel this way about this Wisconsin team, particularly the fact that in week 1, they lost the guy that won the starting quarterback job in fall camp. And they have since been going with a backup who will be the quarterback in this game, Danny O'Neal. Seems like he's done a fine job. A couple of interceptions so far. Nothing spectacular in terms of his passing numbers, but I don't think that this guy is expected to be the same level of player that we saw in that Florida State offense in week 1. The other part of this is Gus Malzahn, and we did talk about this. This is a guy that's sort of uniquely created in a lab to give Alabama football problems, and also highly motivated to do so on top of that. Now, Luke Fickell has experience against Alabama. I don't know that it quite means the same thing to him on a personal level, but I would just say generally, I think that this game, it always means something to beat Alabama, no matter who you are, but I think it meant something very different to Florida State. I think that was a combination of an unbelievably highly motivated team in their home stadium with a group of talent that I think people underestimated. Could Wisconsin defy my expectations? Absolutely. Because again, we haven't seen this Alabama team put in a high level effort and performance against an elite opponent this season, or really in quite a while. So they have to prove they can do that. I don't expect this to be the same type of challenge that Florida State was.
Matt Stahl, nobody expects Wisconsin to beat Alabama, to give them much of a shot. 20.5-point favorites, right? But look what Florida State did. Not saying Wisconsin is Florida State, but Luke Fickell's a good coach. He's trying to build something there. They're in a major conference. Do you think that they pose any threat to Alabama?
Maybe. I think this is the first real look at Wisconsin we're going to get this season. And last year they were in the midst of, not to discredit Middle Tennessee State, which of course is a cow college for left-handed used car salesmen. People who know the per pound price of copper go to Middle Tennessee State University.
Nashville coming at him.
The Nashville kid, man. There
and the Western Kentucky graduate. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, Wisconsin. So last year they were in the midst of potentially one of the worst coordinator tenures you've ever seen, when they brought in Phil Longo to be the offensive coordinator at a school that historically gets by running the ball. Seems like they fixed that that little issue there. I don't think Longo's a bad coach. He's just a terrible fit at that particular institution. So with Jeff Grimes there, like that should be a little better fit. Might be a little slower game. Might be like just maybe just them getting back to what kind of works at Wisconsin. So that's interesting. I'm also not going to trust Alabama whether they win this game or not for a while. Like Matt said about not getting the benefit of the doubt to Alabama anymore, and like I don't think I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt if they win this game. I'm not positive I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt if they come back after the bye and beat Georgia. Like I think I need to see them play Vanderbilt or maybe even further down the line. Like
what a
I
sentence!
I need to see them win one of these games. It might even be South Carolina, like down the line where it's some of these teams are just the archetype where you can like see the upset coming at this point. And I need Alabama to go win one of those games before we'll trust them again.
Stahl, let me ask you, because again, Wisconsin was the only game last year where Alabama looked half decent on the road, and they looked good in that game. They came out, they started fast, and they looked like the contender everybody thought they were going to be. Why do you think Alabama under DeBoer, like how do you reckon with their road woes? Like why do they stink when they aren't playing in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, I can't put like one finger. Like they don't start games well on the road. They come out really, really slow, other than the Wisconsin game, which I think you can chalk up to Wisconsin last year was bad. More than anything like Alabama was necessarily doing right. Wisconsin also lost its quarterback for the season in that game against Alabama, so they were dealing with that offensively as well. But yeah, it's just baffling. Like they come out slow. I mean, they don't finish games well either on the road. It doesn't seem like, and a lot of times it's this. It'll be that same sort of sawed off mobile quarterback will just give them absolute fits, and then the offense. I mean, they've had trouble throughout DeBoer's tenure sustaining drives, home and away, but like it's especially been pronounced on the road. So like, yeah, it's that. I think it's just like the same problems that have kind of popped up in every game they've played under DeBoer, just like really, really show themselves on the road.
Yeah, well, this is a home game, so they're in their happy place this weekend. Okay, guys, time for predictions. Florida State made us look like absolute fools in week 1. We all picked Alabama big for the most part. We whiffed on that, but let's put our reputations on the line again. Matt Scalici, I'll start with you. Who's winning, Alabama or Wisconsin? What's your score?
Ben, I think I'm gonna let them play me for a fool one more time. I'm gonna give Alabama another shot to make me look like an idiot here. But I in all honesty, I mean, I do think, regardless of the opponent, I think Alabama had more of an identity offensively last week. I think that they have started to perhaps at least do some things with consistency and figure out what are the things that they are consistently good at. And to me, what that is a running game that can both create some space in the middle and also utilize the edges and sort of stretch a defense out from sideline to sideline. I think that finding a running back that maybe a lot of people weren't talking about coming into this season, but has started to look confident and look like he understands what's going on in this offense. I think it could be a surprising sort of starting point for this offense to build an identity. I also think they found some other playmakers besides Ryan Williams in that receiver core who are starting to also look confident and step up. I mean, Jeremy Bernard is a lot more experienced, and it's not shocking to see him do well. But I would say at this point, I would look at him as the top playmaker on this offense. And I think the combination of having guys at those two levels, plus frankly, a tight end who I think has become a very reliable option for Ty Simpson as well. I like the way Alabama's offense is playing right now. I think on the other side of it, this is an offense that I think is far less explosive. And while Alabama's defense maybe has a little bit of a ways to go, still, I don't think this is going to be the same kind of challenge they saw in week 1. I just don't see it. I mean, this Wisconsin team doesn't have anything spectacular going for them offensively. So I'm going to give this to Alabama, and I'm going to say that they win this game 38-10.
Oh man, big confidence in Alabama's defense. Again, coming off of a shutout against Louisiana Monroe. You mentioned that tight end. Somebody on here picked Josh Cuevas to be a household name by October. I think it was Matt Stahl. Now who's on pace to have 12 receiving touchdowns this year? It's Josh Cuevas, right? He probably doesn't get there, but good call by you, Matt Stahl. What about your prediction?
You know, everybody calls me a ball knower. I hear it all the time from people. Yeah, I mean, I think like Alabama should win, and they should win by a good bit. What's that? You said the line's 20? Is that it?
That's
20
right.
and a half last I looked. 20
and a half. Okay. Are you going to make a graphic out of our score predictions? That thing's going to
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. 69-0 Alabama.
We'll see. Yeah, like I got to get the graphic.
Glad you're taking this seriously, Matt.
Yeah, if you're not going to make a graphic, 35-14.
Okay. All right, no graphic then. All right,
Okay.
So my prediction, similar to you guys, I'm going to stay pretty conservative until further notice with Alabama. I picked them by 9 against Florida State. That was conservative, and then they got waxed, obviously. I would never have picked 73-0 against Louisiana Monroe. I didn't even think they would cover in that game. But with this one, I'm kind of in the same ballpark. They break 30. I'll go 31-13, Alabama. I mean, like, whatever. Arbitrary score prediction there. Pretty boring, but that's how we're going to play it. Now it's up to the Badgers to make us look like fools the same way Florida State did. I fully expect them to do that. So those are our predictions. Guys, I've got a new game that I want to play here on Beat Everyone. It's called Who Said It? Saban or DeBoer? I'm going to read you a quote, and you try to tell me who said it.
Mike Shula gets posed.
Nick Saban or Kalen DeBoer. You both get to play. I'm going to go back and forth, okay? And whoever gets the most right wins. Are you ready, Matt Stahl?
I'm ready.
Are you ready, Matt Scalici?
Let's do it.
This feels unfair given that I just started on this beat in 2023. But okay. It's okay.
Well, Matt, if it makes you feel better, my brain is rapidly degrading as I go further into my 40s. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go. Matt Stahl, quote, "Yeah, we fell short. Our guys, again, I'm proud of them. The way they've responded to us, not realizing the goals, what we set out to have, getting back to work, focusing on the main thing."
Is that Kalen DeBoer?
Yes, Matt Scalici. Sometimes there are ups and downs that you have to go through, unfortunately, that we have to experience. But in the end, we're just going to take advantage of the failures we've had and be better because of it.
That's Kalen DeBoer.
Yes, correct. Matt Stahl. Y'all don't remember the Georgia Southern game, do you? I don't think we had a guy on that field that didn't play in the NFL, and about 4 or 5 of them were first-round draft picks. And I think that team won a national championship, but I'm not sure. And they ran through our ass like shit through a tin horn, man. And we could not stop them. Could not stop them because we couldn't get a look in practice.
Now we can cuss on this podcast? It's Nick Saban.
Correct. Scalici. How much does this game mean to you? Because if it means something, you can't stand still. You understand? You play fast. You play strong. You go out there, you dominate the guy you're playing against, and you make his ass quit. That's our trademark. That's our MO as a team. That's what people know as us.
Just one tear coming down. That's Coach Saban.
That's right. You're correct. Matt Stahl. There's no arguments. Those are called ass chewings.
That's Nick Saban, and it came after Lane Kiffin received one of those ass chewings against Western Kentucky, baby.
Oh, man. You set him up for that.
Scalici. A lot of it comes down to those big moments, building a culture where you keep fighting.
I knew it before he said a word.
Where you keep fighting till the very end. There's going to be a lot of close games. A lot of those wins, you're going to be talking about how it came down to the very end. Moments where it looked bleak at times. You fight, execute, find a way to win. That's what we've got to do here in year 2 at Alabama football as well.
Is that Mike Shula?
Close. Very close.
Yeah. That's
Final
Kalen
answer?
DeBoer. It's Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, you bet. Matt Stahl, I'm trying to get our players to listen to me instead of listening to you guys. All that stuff you write about how good we are, all that stuff they hear on ESPN, it's like poison. It's like taking poison. It's like rat poison.
This could be a Nick Saban.
Wow, correct. Amazing. Scalici.
This isn't a hard game, is it?
I still like both guys. Both guys are good players. I think both guys can help our team, all right? So why do you continually try to get me to say something that doesn't respect one of them? I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Quit asking. It's Nick Saban, so quit asking.
That's right, Matt Stahl. We were undefeated at home, but we also struggled on the road, and we start this year on the road.
It's gonna be Kalen DeBoer. Seems like
amazing, correct. And Matt Scalici, last one. I hope we elect to kick ass.
Coach Saban.
That's right. Amazing. Who won? Matt Stahl or Matt Scalici? It's a tie.
It's a tie.
You both got 100% of them.
100%.
I'm
we have
amazed.
to fight now.
I tried to make that really hard, and you guys just proved that you've been paying attention. Matt Stahl, I know it's your job to do that. Matt Scalici, your retention of what these guys say, you clearly hang on to every single word. So well done.
Yeah, I mean, we'll let people draw their own conclusions about that segment and what it means to them.
It was certainly one of the games of all time, right?
I'm drawing my own conclusions about the segment, to be honest with you. Okay, well, Alabama does play Wisconsin on Saturday. You can read all of his and all of our Alabama football coverage at AL.com. Matt Stahl, thanks again for doing this. Good luck Saturday.
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, it is wild that on the show called Beat Everyone, we've ended a game in a tie. But, you know.
Neither of you can beat anyone. Kind of like Alabama week 1. Clearly, Matt Scalici produces the show. Matt Scalici, thank you very much.
Yeah, happy to do it.
All right, I'm Ben Flanagan with AL.com. You can find Beat Everyone wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everywhere. And until next time, you guys have fun this weekend. Be careful. Stay out of the sun in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday. This is Beat Everyone. We'll see you next time.
And stay out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, too.